Welcome to part 5th of the video, and after this we would have concluding remarks and we close this video. Page number 16 of this report, like I said, I'm still reading this report and I'm done till page number 17, but this report is little long, so I need some time, and then again I would be making another video on the balance point of this report. There is a very stark data I got on page number 16 of this report, which is that half each country bonds, 50%, half each country bonds must be refinanced by this date. Half. Now 50% is a big figure. It is not a small figure, to be honest. Now, although this report is not mentioning that specifically, but there is a thing in the life called common sense. And that common sense is, if this debt is not refinanced, then we are bound to lose, or we are bound to collapse. And you know the dates, guys? We are, as of 15th March 2022, which is precisely closer to April, which means 3 months are done. So 2022 March, this is where we are as we speak. And if I tell you the dates, you feel like hell. In China, it is April 2025. In Germany, it is October 2025. In Spain, it is October 2026. In France, this is April 2027. In United Kingdom, it is May 2030. United States, reserve currency, March 2025. Italy, August 2025. Japan, October 2025. Australia, March 2027, followed by Switzerland in 2028, which means majority of the pendencies are maximum 2028. And the two largest economies, which is United States and China, number 1 and number 2, they are 2025. Note, United States is March 2025, which means practically 3 years from now. And I'm not saying this, the page number 16 of this report is talking this. And a very interesting feature, by end of 2020, United States government debt stood at 19.6 trillion. Do you know how much it is today? Because I track this daily on Google. It is 31.2 trillion. So let's do the round figure. I assume by end of 2020, the debt was 20 trillion. And now I assume it is 31 trillion, which means 11 trillion of debt, very near about. 11 trillion of debt was added by the United States in the last 1.5 years. 11 trillion, which is 3.5 times of Indian GDP, near about, you can say, 80% of the Chinese GDP and near about 50% of the US GDP. And this debt is growing. As you speak, United States planning to add another 2.5 trillion of debt to meet up the finances. 2.5 trillion. Which means if it is 31 today, it would shoot to 33.5. And that is what I am very clear, and that is where I am very clear, which is we are heading towards a complete collapse. And I'm very clear about that. We are heading towards a complete collapse. Now, the biggest question that comes is when? Like the page number 16 is talking about, it's very near. And I also personally feel that it is 3 to 5 years, maximum 3 to 5 years, and balance sheets of the governments will collapse like a trash of card. And then came a big debt trap. Probably, as we speak, it would be difficult for me also to imagine what would happen, because I saw many Hollywood movies like Armageddon, like, the Independence Day, like Battlefield, like London Has Fallen, Olympus Has Fallen. I have seen many Hollywood movies. And in all Hollywood movies, one thing is very clear, because they show the eventuality which is beyond the textbook. So just like Armageddon, a meteoroid is on the way, a team sent by NASA to that meteoroid, Harry Stamper, and he dig a hole, put the nuclear bomb inside, and boom. And asteroid pass from both the sides of the earth. This is as for Hollywood movie. Now, whether practically this is possible or not, I don't know. I'm not a scientist. But this is as per the Hollywood movie. But having said that, this report is not sounding like a Hollywood movie, because by March 2025, United States, Italy, Japan, China, Germany. So the three largest economy, US, Japan, and China, they need to refinance their debt. And that refinancing is not 10%, 15%, 20%, that refinancing is to the tune of 50%. Half, 50%. And that is scary. See you in the last, which is the concluding remarks of this video. Concluding remarks of this video. Have a great time ahead. Welcome to our last part, closing remarks of the video titled Sovereign Debt $62.3 trillion. A ticking time bomb. Now, first of all, in the closing remarks, I would like to thank you, Janus Henderson, a very well-known hedge fund, who provided the report in the public domain on their website. And because of the research, we got a lot of data, which, by the way, is impossible as far as the other sources are concerned. the same point of time, the closing remarks are like, according to the same report, by 2025, which is precisely 3 years from now, as we speak, in fact, lesser than 3 years from now, the total sovereign debt would be near about 80 trillion US dollars. You heard me very right, which is 80 trillion US dollars. Whether the global economies would be able to pay this debt, that in itself is a very big question. Because in this closing remarks, I would like to bring a very important facts which unfortunately not covered in this report. I understand, because this report is dated April 2021, and the events which I wanted to talk in the closing remarks is dated 2022. So I understand. As we speak, the Asian economies are in huge debt problem. Today, when I was evaluating the data, and of course I am planning a detailed video, according to International Monetary Fund, IMF, in year 2020, India debt to GDP ratio is near about I would say 89%, while in 2019 it was near about 76%, and in 2022 projected is around 91%, which means slowly and eventually, I repeat, slowly and eventually, India is heading towards 100% debt to GDP ratio. And I'm pretty sure that by 2025, this would be more than 110 or somewhere closer to 120%. Because after every year, which is known as the budget, Indian government is raising a huge quantity of money. And this money is piling up, so would be the interest cost. Today, when I was reviewing the position of Sri Lanka, they secured a credit line of near about $1 billion from India. Now, the surprising fact is, how come India, who is already having a huge tax structure, who is having a huge debt in the books, which includes, by the way, debt from international institution, a country who is paying a huge money in the form of interest payments, how come this country can able to deliver $1 billion credit line to Sri Lanka? That in itself is a very big question. But anyways, that is completely separate because, and more importantly, according to the public information, which is on the Google, Sri Lankan government is also in talks with International Monetary Fund and Chinese government regarding the possible funding to avert the debt crash. Now, which means that as we speak, Sri Lankan government do not have the money to pay the debt. And this is the reason that even after securing $1 billion credit line from India, they are still looking for money from International Monetary Fund and probably Chinese government, who, by the way, already lended to Sri Lanka. It's a kind of refinancing, and refinancing would be at a much higher cost. It's a common sense. The situation is not different when it comes to Dubai, it comes to Maldives, it comes to Mauritius, and many countries of the globe, including Singapore. The debt is slowly piling up. Slowly piling up. And many natural disasters are on the way. Let me be very confirmed to you. I would like to summarize further with this, a report by Janus Henderson, and specifically talking page number and 16 rather. According to this report, half each country bond must be refinanced by this date. I repeat, half each country bonds must be refinanced by each date. Now, which means that according to the information provided by this report, China, April 2025, Germany, October 2025, Spain, October 2026, France, April 2027, United States, March 2025, Italy, August 2025, Japan, October 2025, Australia 2027, Switzerland June 2028. Which means if I go with the page number 16 of this report, it clearly suggests that China, Germany, Spain, France, United States, Italy, Japan, Australia, Switzerland. It clearly states that, and it also states that the three top debt nations of the globe. Now, by debt nations, I mean three top nations who holding the highest debt, which includes China, United States, and Japan. They need to refinance 50%, 50% of their bonds by 2025. Now, which in itself is a sheer example that till what extent a huge debt default is on the way. And when I speak about debt default, I mean a huge debt bubble is on the way. And the very surprising fact is that no one is talking about that bubble. No one is talking about that bubble. Guys, as we speak, Russia-Ukraine war is already entering into the murkier phase. By murkier phase, I means the blood phase. According to the public information, Russia is using the supersonic and the advanced weapons, and Russia is very clear on his part that they want Ukraine. But I'm not talking about war in my concluding remarks. What I'm talking about is the fixed income impact on Russia. And what the hell is the fixed income impact is that Russia can default at any given point of time. And it is not the Russia. Very soon you will see a huge mess is on the cards. And this debt bubble is ballooning at a much faster pace. Now, when I speak about United States, of course, I would be deliberating this more in detail very soon. United States, according to this report, by end of 2020, they were having a debt of 19.6 trillion. And by 2022, since I track United States daily on financial terminals and on the public sources, on the various research platforms, on the Google, they are holding a debt of near about 31.5 trillion US dollars. Now, which means that by end of 2020, you was having 19.6 trillion. And now you are having 31.5 trillion, which means only in 2 years. And by the way, the second year not yet completed. 2022, only 3 months completed. You added near about 11 trillion worth of debt. You added near about 11 trillion worth of debt. Now assume if in 1 year and 3 months, if in 1 year and 3 months, you added 11 trillion, now by 2025, United States debt would be more than 50 trillion. Probably if I go with the same statistics, then it would be over 60 trillion. And what would be the interest cost? I can't even explain. And what is the stupidity Federal Reserve is conducting? They are hiking the rates, which means you are spilling the oil in the fire. So rather than cooling the fire, you are increasing the fire. To conclude, we are heading towards a big debt crash. And this debt crash would come very soon. The biggest thing which the world can save, I would say, is to be very protective. Because what I see is that this debt crash will leave no country. Now, whether this is a big G3 countries or probably the Asian economies. Because if I go with this report, which is provided by Janus Henderson, one of the leading hedge funds and the fixed income players of the globe, by 2025, the 3 top economies, which includes United States, Japan and China, at least 50% of the country bonds must be refinanced. And that is not a conducive information, at least I can say. Now, this is Rahul Magan from Treasury Consulting Group. You know my personal number, which is +91 9899 242 978. Alternatively, you know our back office, which is +91 9818 485 155. More interesting videos on the way. Have a great time ahead.